Welcome, everybody, to the FV Podcast, episode 3. This is not Caitlin.
No.
This is not Caitlin Hensley.
No.
Will you introduce yourself, please?
Adam Meier, recent addition to the FV family, right?
FV Athlete Extraordinaire.
Since August now?
Yeah.
So brief, dude. It feels like it's been so long.
I know. I feel like I've known you forever.
I know. It's cool. It's a cool community.
We have a wonderful bromance,
y'all.
Adam and I.
That's true. It's blossoming.
You know what's crazy? So you and I have been doing CrossFit, I think, about the same time.
Yeah.
Because this is your
11th year.
Yeah, so this will be my 12th year.
Wow.
But this is your 11th Open or 10th Open?
This is my 11th Open.
Me too.
Yeah.
What?
I know.
That's crazy.
Different levels, of course, but
Well, no. So wait. Where did you? So let's start off by saying this, because today we're going to get to know Adam a little bit. I think it's a good perspective to get that, because I think people see FV and they think we program for like these crazy talented athletes, which
top tier all over the board,
which
right?
we do. Like, and what I mean by talented is like ones that compete like regularly, right? And then we also program for affiliates who we have, I don't know, hundreds of members that we program for, who do this to stay healthy and do it to improve their wellness.
Yeah, quality of life. Right?
Exactly. So I think it'll be a good perspective to get it from, because we hear a lot. We talk more about the competitive side,
Sure,
right? But I think hearing from someone who does this because they enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've competed in the past.
Yeah.
But someone who does it more so for like just staying healthy.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
But talking about that, I think will be good. And you participated in the Open this year.
Yep.
You're done, right?
Yeah, we're done.
You're not redoing?
No. I'm a one and done kind of
One and done kind of guy. That's right. So where did you start CrossFit?
So I started at 30518. It's Buford, just pretty close to here. And I was at a Signorama at the time, designing. So they came in to get some T-shirts done. And I had just turned 30. So I was like, I should start trying to take care of myself. And I'd worked out in the past, right? Played sports and done all that. So
Sure.
I was familiar with a lot of the stuff. But they were right down the road from where our studio was at the time. So I was like, give it a try. And then,
How was the first class? Like, how was your first experience?
so that was back in the day when they did baseline.
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And baseline was the end of this, whatever. Like
The row,
onboarding
push-up,
workout.
sit-up, air
pull-ups.
squat. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Which just lets you know how out of shape you are, basically. That's all it was. And to
Okay,
give
good. We've confirmed that you suck.
Exactly.
Now you do
You
CrossFit.
do need us.
It's all part of the sales pitch,
yeah,
man. That's
exactly.
right.
Exactly. But that was day one, and it's a good first test though, because it makes you. I'm sure it's the make or break point for a lot of people at that point.
I think it's more so like, it's just like you said, here's how out of shape you are.
Yeah.
So here's how we're going to fix you.
Yeah.
So
that was that. And I was like probably most right in the beginning where I saw a drastic change right away.
Right.
Which makes it very addicting. And then throughout the 10 years, I've gone through ebbs and flows.
I think we all
Whether
have.
it's, hate, love.
Sure.
I quit for a while to just lift.
Mm-hmm.
And then came back because that was boring at the end of the day for me after doing CrossFit for so long, and then ended up here.
Wow. So this is your second gym,
Correct.
right?
Well,
That's wild.
Actually, third. I went to Alpharetta for a little bit because of proximity to where I was working. But
Oh, gotcha. So you are, so people know, you are a graphic designer.
correct.
A damn good one.
I appreciate that.
Also, for those of you that don't know, this is, I think I may have mentioned this before in a previous episode, but Adam was the one who tweaked our logo and made it look as awesome as it is.
Oh, the
And then
FV.
also created the FV,
Mm-hmm.
which is awesome. I talk about this, the universe and God bringing people together. One thing I've talked to other friends of mine who own businesses, they say when you find someone who can make the graphic stuff for your social media, the stuff for your business, whatever, when you find someone who you gel with, stick with them. And this is my guy.
That's right.
This is my guy. He literally, you came up with some like concept stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, this is really good.
Yeah.
Like, this is something I would wear.
Like right off the
something I
rip,
would use.
you were like, my guy's just not working or whatever.
No.
And I think you and I just share similar mentality as far as aesthetic goes.
Yes.
So it clicked fast right away.
Clean, minimalist.
Yeah.
you
Not
know,
overdone.
sharp edges.
Yeah.
There's a graphic designer, not a graphic designer.
That's right.
Right. Yeah.
Talking about it.
But I mean, I feel like the stuff that you've made, I feel like you and I have similar thinking in terms of like, you know, what we think looks good. Because even stuff you've done for the other brands, I really, really like.
Yeah. And I think it speaks to the brand. Right.
Of course.
As far as FV is concerned. And that's like to the point, right?
Right.
Minimal, no BS.
Now, in your job, are you doing mainly like logo design? Because I know I've never actually asked you this.
I do very little of that. So our mother company is an architecture firm.
That's right.
Sky's
That's right.
a sister
That's right.
company of that. So we supplement what they do by kind of highlighting their spaces with either graphics, signage, whatever. But that's the lion's share of what I do. We do branding and stuff, but that doesn't fall on me.
Right. Do you feel like CrossFit is enhanced your graphic design ability?
Maybe discipline-wise, right? I think that's across the board with life.
Sure.
It kind of influences. But yeah, just getting stuff done.
Sure.
But no, creativity-wise, I don't think so.
So how do you, let me ask you this, this is a very like liberal thinking question, but where do you get your inspiration from?
That's tough. So that's where discipline comes in, because you're not going to be inspired every day, and I think that can transcend a lot of different aspects of life. So you have to be disciplined. But honestly, it goes back to like imitation is the finest form of flattery.
Sure.
So I'll look at other people's work all day long, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it just sparks something here or there, that's not to say I'm copying anybody,
right?
But looking at creative execution that somebody else has done definitely helps get yours going.
We do that in coaching all the time.
Yeah.
You know, when Caitlin first got brought on, she was like, so what do you do when you like find yourself in a rut? Which happens often, by the way. Like for me, my brain works where when I'm programming, like I'm in that mood, it's like it's spitting out.
Sure.
Right? And then there's days where it's not. Yeah. Where I'm like, I can't figure out how to get this warm up together.
Well, you have to be very creative in your profession as well.
It's true, but it's
got to vary.
So what I'll do is I'll go look at Train Think Tank stuff. I'll go look at Ben Bergeron stuff, and I won't copy it word for word, but I will see something that's like, okay,
that'll
bam. And Caitlin was like, oh my God, are you allowed to do that? I was like, yes. What do you think they do? Like when coaches appreciate a good workout regardless of who it came from.
Yeah.
So using that or taking ideas from that is not a bad thing. That's what coaching is. Like everything I've learned, I've talked about this before. Everything I've learned from coaches, other coaches.
Sure.
I've stolen techniques, cues, whatever, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Any sport, right? Like football coaches aren't creating plays, creating original plays every day of the week, right?
Right.
They're taking them from what's been successful in the past.
Right. So talking about CrossFit, what did you think of the Open this year in comparison to previous Opens?
It felt like to me that there was kind of a shift happening to make it more accessible to the whole community as opposed to making it a test.
Okay.
It felt kind of lazy. I've seen a couple people comment.
I feel very strongly about this, but I want you to finish your thought. Yes.
I've heard a couple gyms comment that way about it, and I don't disagree. It felt like it wanted to be more inclusive than, like I said, a test to separate the fittest from the herd, for lack of a better word. But I don't know. I don't think it was Dave.
Let me tell you my thoughts. I feel very strongly about this because, and you and I have talked about this outside of the podcast. Here's what I think happened. I think this whole Castro firing, which you guys who watch the show, you know how I feel about that. They fired Castro. Yeah. Castro had already created the workouts for this year. Castro said, no, fuck y'all. Y'all are not using my stuff.
That's my
That's
property.
Intellectual property.
Yeah.
I'm sure contractually there's literature protecting him.
Sure.
You know? And I think CrossFit was like, shit, we got to come up with some open workouts.
Yeah.
Let me blow your mind for a second. And some of you may already know this. I know I've mentioned this to you. 21.1 last year. Wall walks and jumping.
Sure.
22.1 wall walks and jumping.
21.2
burpee box jump overs and a hinge. 22.2 burpee over the bar hinge.
Was 21.2 the
The
Dumbbell
burpee
snatch
box jump
and burpee
overs
box-
and the dumbbell snatch.
Got
The
it.
awful
Yep.
workout.
Yep.
Awful workout.
Yep, it was.
But burpee and hinge.
Yep.
21.3. Bunch of gymnastics, thrusters, high volume squatting.
Progressing gymnastics,
Right?
I think.
And then a max.
Yeah.
This year, thrusters,
Mm-hmm.
high complexity gymnastics. It's the same open, Adam. It's the same shit,
Just
except
tweaked.
without a max.
Yeah. At the end.
That just to me, that's the most glaring evidence that they were not prepared.
Yeah.
This year.
Or just reactive
Or
to
that.
what happened through the industry, right?
Listen, I guarantee what happened is they were like, "Crap, Dave's gone. What are we gonna do? Let's make him similar to last year, since last year worked."
Yeah. And I think it's interesting. Well, and you see that happen. I'll compare it to branding again. You see that happen. Like if you tweak one little thing, it's not their logo anymore, right?
Right.
So
Yep.
if it was Dave's intellectual property, they tweak one little thing in each workout. That's not his,
Exactly.
you know?
Well, and the way I see it too is, and I've talked about this before with you, because we always talk about CrossFit, but
Sure.
Dave always brought something new to the sport each year,
Yeah.
whether it was through the way he announced something, whether it was through a new movement, whether it was through a new structure,
Yeah.
a repeat, whatever it may be. And that was always exciting, right? Because you never knew what it was going to be.
Sure.
Or whatever week it was going to show up. This year was the most vanilla, bland bullcrap I've ever been a part of.
It was. And even though, like you said, it was like an evolution of last year, there was always some sort of like ruthlessness or something like devious.
Yes.
When Dave gave us stuff, right?
Yeah.
There was nothing that felt that way this year.
Right.
You were just like, okay, it's a workout.
Hannah, my wife, she was like, "I feel like we do harder stuff in classes."
Right.
And
Which
I
is
was like,
a testament to
but
FV,
I mean,
right?
the workouts aren't meant to be hard, but I was prepping them for shit.
Yeah.
Like I prepped you
You were,
guys
yeah.
for really nasty workouts, because even last year in 21.1, they announced wall walks,
Yeah.
new movement, and then they threw a ton of them at you.
Yeah.
Like, what a grueling test, right?
And then you did it to us again.
And then not only that, but like you did it. I don't know, man. It's just, and he did the complex, which was new.
Yeah.
Like that was exciting. Everyone was like, "Oh my
That
god!"
was exciting.
You know, like that
Yeah.
was such a cool test.
There
So
was nothing really fun about it
No,
at the end of the day, if I can be that transparent.
No.
But yeah.
You want to know another reason I know this is lazy? So, in programming, and this is, you can kind of get an insight here, and Caitlin and I talk about this too. I will be the first person to admit, especially when I made the workout, that I should have done something differently in the workout. Right? Maybe I made the cap too long, cap too short.
Is this in hindsight? Like after
Yeah,
it's been done?
exactly.
Okay.
Right. Because I mean, normally when I do this stuff, I'm running through it in my head multiple times through different levels of athletes, so that way I can be as accurate as I can in terms of the structure of the workout.
Sure.
Right. But with this workout, usually, like if I program a workout and I give a 20-minute cap, and 70% of the people that do it don't finish, and the people that do finish with like 10 seconds left.
Yeah.
That means I did something wrong
Sure.
with the timing. They made this last workout, right, a 12-minute cap,
Yeah.
and you got people finishing it in 4.5 minutes.
Well, I think that just speaks to the appealing to the masses.
Right, and I know you're 100% right.
And not the elite.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why for the elites, they were like, "Holy shit!" Like, I just did this in 4 minutes. Why is
Right.
the cap 12 minutes? Like,
Yeah.
there's not the incentive of like, shit, I got to beat the clock. You know?
That's a good point, right? And maybe it's not pushing them as hard as they need to be pushed, but I don't know. I mean, the people we did see
But here's
in
what's
the mid
happening.
4 range are going.
No, right. But let me tell you this. So this is the point I'm trying to make. Like, the Open used to be a true, and I mean it still is to an extent. I'm not saying it's not. The Open used to be like a grueling test that everyone from the Fronings and Frasers and Tias to my mom, who is in her 60s, who's been doing CrossFit for 3 years now, all had the same experience.
That's a good point.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This year, like, even me, I'm like, as long as I qualify for quarterfinals, I don't care.
Right.
Right? So there's not that, like, but even last year, like, Dave made it grueling and stuff still through introducing new movements and new structures and stuff.
Yeah.
So he kept that feeling alive, if that makes sense. This year just didn't have like
You think it's almost casual?
yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, and maybe, and this is a point, playing devil's advocate to my own point. Maybe it's because quarterfinals has a pretty broad qualifying process.
That could
right?
be. I don't. Your mentality is probably not exclusive to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
People are doing just enough, right? They're not trying to win the Open. They're doing just enough to get to the next level,
Right.
And then your effort level probably progresses. As you
Well,
go
and then it's like quarterfinals becomes that feeling.
yeah,
Right.
becomes the Open.
But I don't know, man. I just didn't have that spark. I know it sounds super lame. I just didn't have that nervousness that I usually have.
Sure.
That anxiety of
Yeah.
like, what is Dave gonna what's it gonna be, dude?
I had it a little bit, and I'm on the CrossFit to stay fit level, but that's like any workout though.
But
at
hindsight,
the start of it.
But hindsight, look at it. You've been doing these open workouts for 10
Yeah.
years.
No,
right?
you're right.
Like
It
there
wasn't
have
the
been
same feeling.
some
Yeah, brutal.
nasty stuff.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, the second one this year was rough. Like
It
that
was
was
rough.
very painful.
Yeah.
Right. But lackluster in
Agreed.
terms of creativity.
And I think on the lazy side of things, and I'm not, an official word on this topic by any means, but there's certain movements that are easier to push through, right? I think
Right.
deadlifts and burpees are a
Yeah.
couple of those, right?
Mm-hmm.
The ones that in the past that have been really brutal are the ones that challenge you mentally and physically to push through, right?
Yep.
I
Yep.
think this handful of workouts was, I don't want to say on the easier side, but
Well, and I mean, like we're focusing on the negatives, right?
yeah.
So we are focusing on the
All
negatives.
right,
The
yeah.
positives, right, is that it is inclusive, which I do think
Yeah.
that's not a bad thing. But I think the Open's always been inclusive, right? Like there were, think about it. Before they introduced the scale division, like if you couldn't do a movement, you were out of luck.
Yeah.
So I get that adding the scale division, adding foundations, that was a great move.
I like that. Yeah.
From a business standpoint too, because now you opened your pool to more people to sign up. So
Sure.
you got more people paying money.
Yep.
But they got the same experience. Like, okay, cool. Now I have something to work towards. Now if I'm doing scale, well, I want to do RX next year.
Mm-hmm.
So like that definitely helps. But now it's almost like erring on the side of too inclusive. Do you know what I mean?
Do you think it's a detriment to the sport though? Because I think the right people are still qualifying and moving on to the next level.
No, I don't think it's a detriment to the sport. I think it's just taking away from the Open.
Sure.
I think that's what, like the
That
Open
event.
specifically.
Yeah.
Because it's not that it just doesn't have that substance, I feel like, that Dave brought to it.
Worldwide cohesiveness, right?
And they still haven't announced who is, obviously if you can't tell, I'm a little bitter towards CrossFit right
You
now
feel
because of the
some
whole
kind of way
Dave
about
thing.
it, yeah.
I do. But like, they haven't announced who's directing the games. They haven't announced who's
his
coming up with these
predecessor.
workouts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, if it's just like a group effort
Yeah.
within the CrossFit.
And I think it's just frustrating from people like us who we were fortunate enough to experience those Opens
Yeah.
and be like, what's it going to be this year? You know?
I like to speak on the positive a little bit. I like how they used athletes to announce it this year. That was
Cool. I will say that was
kind
cool.
of cool.
But I also, I mean, and honestly, they almost had to
Yeah.
because they didn't. There's no one. We don't know
Sure.
who it is.
I think that sparked a little bit of excitement.
That was
just
cool.
To see the
That wa-
top tier guys.
I agree. I think that was cool. So yes, positive.
Yeah.
And all this negative. That is true. That was cool. And I do think it was cool how they allowed that Jim's team to go against Reykjavik.
Yeah. That was
However,
cool. Yeah. Across.
However, since we are talking about negatives, I did think the whole like getting a head start thing, like I don't know, to me, one of my athletes and I were talking about this this past Friday. Yesterday? No, yesterday, Saturday,
2 days
Friday.
ago. Yeah.
How, like, I don't know, man. Maybe it's just me personally. How they're like, we're gonna give y'all a head start. And I want to be like, what? Clearly, like these athletes are better than you, so we're
Right.
going to give you a head start.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, and I mean, I know they didn't have that mentality.
And
they were
think,
good sports.
I think it
about
was playful. Yeah.
Sure.
at the end of the
But
day.
in my mind, like, and maybe it's because I'm on a certain side of this where, I've done it at the higher level.
Yeah.
Just I'm not trying to be arrogant here. I'm
No,
just saying,
no.
like, being someone who can do more of the harder stuff. To me, I'd be like, F you, dude.
Yeah.
Give me a head
I'ma
start.
smash you.
Yeah, what? Yeah, but that's just me. That's
Yeah.
just me. But I did think it was cool how they did it. I just think they should have just ran them together.
Agreed.
And
And
then how cool would it be to have if they did finish before you? How
Yeah.
cool would it be to have Annie Thorsdottir cheering you on?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, that's it. That's a great point.
You know, that's the way I see it. Is I'm like, damn, dude, Annie was like cheering me on. That's pretty cool. As opposed to being like Annie being like, no, I'm gonna give you 3 minutes head start.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna give you 2 minutes. Yeah, I'm just kind of like, what? I don't know. And then like during the show, and these are little things, okay. And I know I'm being negative Nancy over here, but like the communication between the two, like you couldn't hear, and I don't know, man. It just seemed kind of like a shit show
At this point, yeah. No, I'm not going to speak on the production quality because I'm not. I don't live in that world.
Yeah,
either.
I mean, me neither. And
Right.
again, this is you know what, Adam,
very difficult.
That's a great point.
Right.
So let me say this first off: I am no expert at all.
Yep.
I'm just simply someone who's extremely passionate about this, who has been doing this for so long, just voicing my opinion, which you can agree with and you cannot agree with. That's fine.
Level of professionalism, right?
Right. So now that we had last year kind of introducing the minimalist, right, because of COVID, and that made sense.
Sure.
And now it seems like, do you feel like they're going to apply that theme moving forward?
I think so, as far as qualification is concerned.
Well, I mean, just admit they only used box, dumbbell, barbell, and pull-up and jump rope. Or not even a jump rope.
I think maybe.
Oh, yeah, jump rope, yeah.
I think this might stay consistent for the open part of it.
Really?
Right. There always seems to be, I mean, this last one, the last workout always seems to be a separator, right? To really show or kind of raise up the elite people and put them on a pedestal and show what they're capable of. Obviously, this one was like a long Fran for them, right?
Well, so yes, it was very Fran-esque, like the feeling too, because the movements are very quick and high turnover, so your body's like in that constant working state.
That was in capacity, to your point, right? They used minimal equipment to show how much better they are than the great majority of the world. In the past, they've done that with movements, right?
Yep.
A lot of people, if you see ring muscle ups, you're like, shit.
Yeah,
I can't do this.
I can't do it. I'm going
right?
to stand there and stare at the rings.
That's where scaled and foundations comes in, of course. But yeah, I think to your point, I don't know. I think go either way as far as equipment is concerned.
I don't know.
You think it's going to stay the same?
I don't know. Maybe they'll start introducing stuff back into it. Be like, I mean, even things like wall balls.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, rowers, like stuff like that. I don't know, man. Rings, even.
Yeah.
Like this is stuff that I feel like. Well, I mean, I'm not an expert. Like I'm in home gyms. I know that a lot of affiliates have opened back up. I know that things have fairly much gone back to normal. But I also know there's still gyms that were severely affected.
Sure.
We're
pretty spoiled here.
We are, and 100%. We're very lucky. Yeah, we're very lucky. And some people aren't.
Yeah.
So like, I'm also saying this from the perspective of a gym that did not close down. Or we closed down for a month. We weren't as affected by it as some were. So like, take this with a grain of salt. Where we're coming from one perspective here.
Yeah.
And some other gyms may appreciate the heck out of it. Like, thank goodness, So like, for example, Trojan CrossFit, one of our new affiliates, they're starting new, so they don't have as much equipment as others do. So I'm sure they're appreciative that it's an open like this, right, where they can run it, without having to worry about equipment, without having to worry about any limitations that would bring.
I think we just came full circle there, turning a negative into a positive, right?
True, and and that's what I'm saying. Like, again. When you're like me and you're just very passionate in general, you kind of there's extremes in both ways, but again, being a little bit more on the spoiled side, like part of me does want to see more in the open.
Well, I think you will moving forward. Then, right?
I hope so. I just hope it's not going to be like a repetitive thing like it was this year.
Yeah,
it's the same open workout, Adam. Same shit.
Oh, sure. As far as just recycling stuff.
Shit.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what quarterfinals looks like.
Yep.
I'm very curious.
I hope there's a strength aspect. There almost has to be, right?
I hope so. Oh, my God.
There almost has to be.
I cling on to that because that's where I score best.
I understand.
Selfishly, please be a strength element.
It's fun to watch, too. Everybody loves
it is.
a
It is.
rep,
I mean,
right?
quarterfinals is entertaining. Like, some of the stuff that people did last year, like quarterfinals was a great time last year.
Yeah, I bet.
Let's shift that.
Yeah.
Let's shift the conversation to quarterfinals. So we're going to send... We'll have a handful. I mean, from probably, I know that some of our affiliates will have some, because we're programming separate protocol for the quarterfinal athletes for the affiliates.
Functional umbrella.
Yeah, so they're going to get like a separate protocol because our affiliates, we deload next week since the Open's over. So when this premieres, hopefully tomorrow, which is Monday, then the affiliates will be on deload week just to give their bodies a chance to recover
Sure.
and, relax before we jump into the 2023 season, which will start the following week.
Yeah.
That following week where y'all will be testing, the quarterfinal athletes will have their own protocol because their first workout is the 24th
Oh,
of March.
Okay. So that's
Which
where
is Friday,
that's where
I
we'll kind
think.
of split
Yeah, that's another thing.
for a little bit.
I wonder how they're going to structure it because last year you pretty much only got a day
Oh.
to do the workout.
Wow.
So you can only really do it once. I thought that was cool.
How many workouts were in the quarters? 3?
5.
5?
You had the front squat. You had the pistol rope climb GHD, which was awful.
Yeah. That looked terrible.
That one was rough. Then you had the handstand push up, dumbbell double under one. Then you had the snatch burpee box jump over one.
There were.
Was it 4? I thought there was one more.
Wasn't there like a heavy Fran or something? Or
No, you're thinking of the games.
Okay.
That was the games. They did Fran, whereas the 3 rounds of the 21 and 21.
Yeah.
That was rough.
Extended Fran, yeah.
What else? I thought there was one more.
Regardless, that's short prep time.
Yeah.
For any workout.
And maybe it was 4. This is really bothering me.
Give me some insight into FE though, like, because I obviously experience it firsthand because I'm at your gym, but it's consistent across the board as far as all your affiliates are concerned.
So we have...
I'm sure individual athletes are specific.
Yeah, so our affiliates follow the same skeleton. So
Okay.
like CrossFit Combine follows our general affiliate program. And then like Trojan, they pay for custom programming.
Okay.
Because for her starting the business, that's one thing that's taken off her plate. Because they were following a different program and she was having frustrations about not being able to access them as a resource, if that makes sense. So like there was no guidance on like how to change it for her gym, right?
Scale it or whatever.
So Zach, one of our athletes, helps him. He coaches up there sometimes.
Oh.
And he was like, hey, why don't you talk to Hamilton? Because I know they offer custom affiliate programming. So we got to talking. Haley Newman, she's wonderful. Absolutely great person. Super fun to work with. She just appreciates being able to come to me with questions, right? So like even during the open, she had questions about like how to run the workouts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And she was a rock star. She could have done it without me, but she had me to ask questions about, too.
I like that.
And she was great. And shout out to CrossFit Trojan. They're awesome. They're crushing it. And they will have their first official season with us starting for 2023.
Yeah.
Which very excited. So the base skeleton for the individuals is, so like when we launch Resolve, which will be in a couple weeks, they will have a similar skeleton to the affiliates, but it's going to be on a more complex, higher level because that's going to be more of a competitive program.
Got it.
Than the affiliates, where the affiliates obviously is more generalized because it's so many people, right? But the concept is the same, right? Getting them fitter, where you can tangibly see yourself get fitter as you work out and progress.
Test, retest.
Exactly.
Stuff like that.
Right. So from that level, that's kind of how it looks like. And we're actually going to do a podcast episode on this, on how to structure programming to kind of help people who are either looking to start their own program or to give our members more insight of like what happens behind the scenes, because it is a lot.
Peek behind the curtain.
Dude, it's there's so much that goes into it and so much time and effort that Caitlin and I put into it because you have to.
Yeah.
Like,
You can't
it's
just throw movements on a page, right?
People do it.
I understand.
People do it, man. And I mean, you can definitely tell, like, because I mean, there are still good programs out there that don't put a ton of effort into it.
Sure.
Right? It's all, and I mean, coaching kind of is this, everyone has their own opinion deal, and everyone has their own idea of what works, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if it works for you, great.
Yeah.
And and that's one thing that's tough about coaching. And Max Al-Haj actually talked about this from Training Think Tank, how when he used to go to competitions, he viewed other coaches as like the enemy, right? Like, I can't talk to them. They're athletes competing against mine. I can't talk to them.
Right.
When now it's almost flipped for him, where he's like, I talk to these guys and like I learn from them and they learn from me, and like it's cool to see that we're both there for the same purpose.
That's the beauty of the sport.
Right?
And athletes too.
Yeah.
They're I mean, enemies on the floor maybe, but once it hits zero, right,
exactly.
you're fine.
And you're 100% right. And I think that's what's so cool about CrossFit too, is that it does bring people together on so many levels.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, think about it. You and I met
Right.
from CrossFit.
Yeah.
I met my wife from CrossFit.
Yeah.
You know?
I met my fiance
You met your fiance.
in CrossFit.
Yeah. His fiance, Holly. Awesome.
Yeah.
Shout out Holly.
That's right.
She's great.
She is.
You guys get married when?
September 24th.
Oh.
I know.
It's coming up, dude.
It is coming up.
You excited?
It's going to be awesome.
They are building a house and getting married.
Yeah, that's not stressful
They are just
at all.
they are really trudging through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just happened to line up at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
Are you guys going to do a home gym?
Probably. We both have bars and stuff from our other house
Mhm.
and some weights, so it might be pretty minimal, just like lifting stuff. Nothing too involved. But
Right. Well, I
just
think they're going to start
supplemental.
doing open gym here, which will
Yeah.
open up a lot of opportunity.
more
for
so than every other Sunday.
So let me ask you this: Do you feel like, and I want your honest opinion, because this is something that one thing we pride ourselves on at Functional Versatility is we do interact with our members constantly. Like, I love feedback.
Yeah.
Like, members will be getting a feedback survey next week and talking about what they liked this season, what they want to see more of, what they want to see less of, things like that.
I'm going to do that survey.
Please do.
Yeah.
Do that survey. Yeah, you got a lot to say, Adam.
I do.
No more thrusters, Hamilton. No more. Do you feel like with the Functional Versatility affiliate program, do you feel like you were prepared for the Open this year?
Yes. It, laughably so at that. Because it's like, I don't know. It's like you knew what was coming, or you guys as a whole, because we were crushing burpees, right? Which obviously shows up every time.
Well, that's kind of an easy thing to predict.
We did do wall walks in really close proximity to that workout, which was crazy.
I know.
Yeah. This programming is just so comprehensive, I think.
Thank you.
We weren't unprepared for anything, right?
That's the most stressful part.
Yeah.
Is making sure you guys are ready. Because I always feel like, did we miss something? You
No,
know?
I don't think so.
Do you feel like you improved with like your skills and stuff? So like when the higher level workout popped up.
Yeah, skills in general. That just speaks to the nutrition side of it too. It pushed me.
You guys should see Adam with his shirt off. It's incredible.
No, only in certain moments, right?
Whatever.
After a good pump.
I will say this, and I mean that is a bit of a tangent, but Adam he started with Functional Versatility Nutrition, which is coming as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you have done a fantastic job.
Dude, y'all are, Hannah especially, so professional, and
Shout out to Hannah, man. She knows her shit. She does mine too.
Yeah, gives you good backbone and good understanding of everything. Even if you know nothing,
Mm-hmm.
she informs you and
Yep.
keeps you informed.
Yep.
And on track.
She does.
It's crazy.
Yep.
But yeah, into the programming, I think my capacity, more than anything else, has bettered
Mm-hmm.
because of it. And skill. I think skill just follows after repetition. But
We do a protocol, and we'll talk about this in the episode. We talk about programming where we do an advanced. It's called our AIP model, where we do an advanced intermediate AIP model. Excuse me, advanced intermediate and progressing.
okay.
So that way, like everyone who, regardless of what skill level you are, you all have something to do. You know what I mean? So like on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Where we do the different levels.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So like someone like who like
the skill work. Yeah,
exactly.
sorry.
Yeah. So for like Adam, he has bar muscle ups. So if we're focusing on bar muscle ups, he could do advanced because he can be challenged in that aspect.
Reps game a lot.
If advanced is doable for Adam that day, he'll do advanced.
Exactly.
But then also you have like people who maybe have bar muscle ups but don't have like they can do like one or two at a time.
Yeah.
They can do intermediate because it helps them where they're at with that skill. And then progressing is like building your foundation to be able to get there.
That's what's great about y'all. Like, you'll do one that's focused very obviously on advanced athletes, and then like intermediate might be like focus on quality, right? So you improve that movement or whatever that is. So that's a nice progression.
And especially in the off season where we give like, we'll even prescribe it for the coaches. We'll say, hey, for intermediate, you have 6 minutes to work with a coach on this movement.
Yeah.
And then it gives advanced something to do. It gives progressing something to do, and it frees up the coaches to be able to work with those athletes. And we try and structure it where the coaches can coach effectively and not feel like they're overwhelmed or not able to get to somebody. Because sometimes if you have too much going on, they feel like they feel like they can't get to everyone.
Yeah.
So we try and structure it where we try to set up the coaches for success.
That's strategic too, because I'm sure advanced athletes are pretty self-sufficient, right? So
For the
coaches
most
can
part,
focus
yes.
on
Some are. Yeah. But I mean, everyone always needs coaching,
Yeah.
for sure. But yes, you're right.
in
It
that
is-
moment.
Yes,
Right.
in that moment, right. And that's honestly one thing that talking about programming that a lot of people don't realize either is that's things that Kayla and I think about. Like, how can we set the coaches up to
Yeah.
be successful
Like
here?
who can handle themselves while we give these people attention? Sure.
I would honestly say that's like the most challenging thing. Is one thing that we do is we try and provide as much value in that class as we possibly can, and not only for the athletes but for the coaches too. Because if we give too much, if we're too athlete focused, then coaches can't coach.
Sure.
If we're too coach focused, then athletes don't get what they're paying for. So like, that's kind of my beef with. And again, let me just preface with this statement. This is my opinion.
That's
okay?
right.
This is my opinion. You can agree or disagree. That's fine.
Almost everything we're saying.
I don't like when I go into a gym and I see 3 rounds for time of this, and that's it.
For the day?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's their workout.
Sure.
For some gyms, that works, and that's great, and they keep doing it. If it works for you and your affiliate and it's successful and people are happy, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
The way I like to see things is I like to see value in what class I'm taking. Warm up, strength or skill practice, explanation of that strength and skill practice, conditioning, explanation, goal, why you should be doing this, why you are doing it. And it allows the coaches to coach and not be like, I don't know why we're doing this. Like, it's hard.
Yeah.
Like, it's a hard workout.
No, that's great because it puts everybody on the same page, right?
Right.
The coaches have their understanding. I'm sure athletes have a different understanding, but it's all towards the same goal.
And one thing y'all don't see is y'all don't see the paragraphs of coaches' notes that they get per workout. Which
we
is,
get like the Cliffs notes on the board.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. So we have these things called FV notes where it's it'll give like tidbits to the athletes on like
This is the
what
purpose,
they should
right?
exactly
Yeah,
what they should feel like, how you should approach it, just to get the most out of the workout, which again, value. But some programs, like I've been to gyms, I've dropped in because I used to travel a lot for work, and I still do occasionally. But I'll go to a gym and like the workout will be Fran, and like don't get me wrong, you go hard at Fran, that is a very very harsh stimulus, yeah. But in my mind, I'm like, I walk in and I just see that on the screen, and there's no warm up, there's nothing, there's just that, and I'm like, man, like I just feel like you should be providing more.
Well, and that's that's probably tunnel vision too, because they could have been doing a whole bunch of stuff to lead up to that test.
And you're right.
Right.
You're right.
You
You're
know,
right. And,
so-
and that goes back to like, this is also face value. This is just
Yeah,
in certain
exactly.
situations I've
Yeah.
been in. But that was always like one thing that I really heavily educated Caitlin on is I'm like, look, we spend a lot of time on the affiliate program because I don't want it to be one of those.
To speak to traveling and dropping in and to y'all's programming all at once, if I ever drop in, because I travel quite a bit too, I make sure it doesn't conflict with what we're doing back home and like won't hurt me
Right.
for whatever cycle we're in.
And I think you should do that for everyone who follows their program. Like, be invested in it.
Yeah.
Regardless if you agree with, what you're doing or not. Like, the more you invest in it, the more you're going to get out of it. So that's why, we really and that's why I really enjoy doing the affiliate. Like, all I follow is the affiliate.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I do that because it allows me to immerse myself in what I'm programming for these people, so I can provide a better product for these people.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I used to have beef with on the other side, of the being super involved in a program, and I think who spoke on this? Someone spoke on this one time. I think it was Phil Hesketh, where he was like, when you drop into a gym and you're a competitive athlete, don't be that guy that's like, oh, I have to follow my own programming. Can I do this to the side? Like, just go in and do the workout. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So, but I also understand, like, if you have open gym available and you're not,
That's it.
then
right?
then yeah, do your
Yeah.
thing. Like, that's not conflicting with
Agreed.
anything, But if it's a class and there's not open gym structure, and like you have that hour to do your workout while you're traveling, just do it.
Yeah.
Don't
Like,
be
don't
that
even ask
guy.
the question.
Don't be that guy.
No?
Just do
Okay.
it. Well, because again, it's just like the gym wants you to experience their product,
Sure.
right?
And you're
So,
a
like-
guest at the end of the day. Right.
Exactly. So like, if the resources are available,
Sure.
then do your own thing.
Yeah.
But if they're not, don't be like, hey man, is it cool if I work out on the side?
Yeah,
Like, just
yeah,
do the workout.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's okay. Just do it. Because I mean, people come here, and they'll tell me they follow Mayhem or whatever, and they'll drop in and they're like, man, I really enjoyed that. I'm like, good. I'm glad you
Right?
liked it, man. You know, and I mean, best of luck following what you're following.
Yeah.
But we also have had people that have come in and been like, all right, I can't drop in here because I can't do my own thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, man.
I mean, to each their own in that
Yep.
regard, right?
That's true.
I guess if they're that strict to their programming,
Again, me
more-
being
more
a
power to 'em.
passionate,
Yep.
opinionated
Nope.
CrossFit guy.
it's great. But yeah, 9 times out of 10, I'm just trying to get a workout in, right?
Well, especially when you're traveling because
Yeah.
like your time's limited
It is.
for the most part when you're
Yeah.
in places like that, where you're having like you're on a set schedule. It's
Yeah.
tough to fit it in sometimes.
Beggars can't be choosers in that regard.
And then sometimes you gotta do hotel workouts, which I'm not a fan.
Yeah, no. It's
Ugh, it's
not
so
ideal.
hard. I know.
Everything's dirty.
I had to. That is also true.
Yeah.
And some hotel gyms have like one dumbbell and a treadmill that halfway
Yeah.
works,
Yeah.
and you got to make it work.
And a
But
Pilates ball.
on the other side, that's one of the beauties about CrossFit is you can usually come up with something that will get you moving, and moving is always the answer.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
That's true.
regardless of how complex it is.
Just do something.
Something.
Yeah.
Do something.
I like that.
So, going back to quarterfinals and stuff, is there anyone that you are particularly excited?
Mal O'Brien.
What? Right?
Dude.
She might be the one to take down Tia.
I think eventually. I don't think this year, maybe even next. Opinion, obviously. But
she is fun to watch.
she is fun to watch.
You want to talk about talent,
Yeah,
bro?
And her drive is unbelievable. It's
And
all
you
she
want-
wants to do.
You want to know what's cool? Hannah and I were talking about this morning, how no one knows what she's doing right now.
Right.
Because I think Matt's big on this too, like keeping things in the dark. So when she does compete, she just crushes people.
Is her old coach still in the picture? Tangent, but
I don't think so.
No?
From what it looks like, I think it was.
he took over, Matt.
Well, I think Mal was like, hey, you know, I could be very wrong here. I don't know the answer to this, but it just seems like she just switched to Matt.
Like, hey, this is my path now.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Maybe Matt talked to her. I don't know. Maybe she's like, I want to fully devote myself into someone who is truly one of the best in the sport ever.
Sure.
You know, which I can't blame her.
No.
And I'm sure that's
No.
why her coach is probably like, hey, I get it.
Yep, right.
I mean, you can't take away if he
Go do
built.
it.
I mean, her coach, James Townsend,
Yeah.
built her.
Yeah. And they seem like they had a great relationship.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
sure,
for sure.
I'm sure he was.
He is a great coach.
Yeah.
He is a really good coach. I feel like one thing I appreciate about coaches like that are people that are really good at the psychological side. Because I'll even say this, that's not my strength.
Sure.
Like, the psychology of coaching is not something that I would consider like my strength. But someone like Caitlin is very, very proficient at
She
that.
is.
You know,
is. She's
she knows
fun
how to
watch.
speak the language to
Mhm.
athletes, where my strength is more of the like tangible programming side
Yeah.
and the coaching side, right? But for her, she's really good at that, and I think James I think he's really good at that with his athletes also.
Yeah.
Because he's such a good dude.
Yeah.
You know, you can just tell.
He seems genuine, wants the best for him, right?
Exactly.
So.
Right. He was on Max's. He was on the TTT podcast, and to listen to him was really cool because he's a Christian too.
Yeah.
Which was awesome to hear how he incorporates that into CrossFit. We talked
Sure.
about this morning, how like using CrossFit to glorify God and things like
Mhm.
that. And it's cool to see him do that on like the highest level,
Yeah.
right, with someone like Mal.
That's cool.
And I think she's cool too because she's so humble.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Agreed. She just wants to work, right?
She's just this chick that wants to win.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't
And
know that she
there's
wants
no-
all the fanfare.
I don't.
She just,
I don't think she does.
She just has a goal.
I honestly, man, Mal, if somehow you ever listen to this, like, don't change.
Yeah.
Keep that moving. Keep
Yeah,
that
she's
attitude.
a CrossFit athlete at its purest form, right?
But even look at Matt. Like, Matt really didn't get into the the personality you would need for branding until he retired. Like
What do you
he's more active on Instagram now.
Oh,
he's more
sure,
active on social
sure.
media now. He's more like
Well, he couldn't, right? He couldn't
well,
balance
that's
those
what I mean.
things. Yeah.
I think he's
Freed
I think
him up.
that might be why Mal was attracted to because it seems like they have similar personalities.
Yeah.
To be
Oh,
transparent,
for sure. I think
you
so,
know, and especially having that humility
Yeah.
and just like I'm gonna let my actions speak for me instead of my words.
That's it.
You
I think
know?
that the coolest thing I ever heard him say was when he was in school, he wanted to study so much that the test wasn't challenging. Like that's the feeling he chased,
Yep.
right? And he transferred that to his CrossFit mentality too.
It's the deficit concept. You know, you train you overshoot the target so much on training that when you do get to the test, that it's not challenging.
Right.
And you can
Overprepare.
truly maximize your effort, right? Which is honestly like, it's such a, it's tough to do because you have to constantly push that threshold.
Yeah.
You know,
Every
which
day.
is painful,
It is.
very painful. But I do agree. I think Mal, do you think she has a chance of winning?
I do.
I mean, look what she did in the Open.
Right?
You know?
It's crazy.
And with like, now granted, I'm curious to see how she'll look in like quarterfinals where hopefully there's more complexity.
Yeah.
Right?
And a strength aspect, which I think,
I
I don't know where she is right now, but I think that might be it.
You want to know who also kind of flew under the radar was Tia.
She did.
You didn't really hear much about Tia this year.
No, and I think one of the videos I watched said she kind of wanted to not make a big show out of it and just kind of do it. I mean, obviously she crushed stuff.
Oh, I want to say something about this. I don't know if you saw this, but there was some controversy with Tia in her 22.2.
How so?
Every single set, Papa, her deadlift.
Oh, yeah, I saw
Papa.
that. Yeah, I noticed.
And people were like, is that legal? You know, and I think it ended up being okay in the standard as long as both weights touch.
Just not at the same
for
time.
the rep.
Like same
but
time
people were like, is that taking advantage? And in my mind, I'm thinking like, why would she do that? Like, how would that give her an advantage?
That's right.
And I'm like, she's one of the best, if not the best. She is the best female in the sport ever.
Yeah.
So does she have an imbalance? Was she injured? Like, was there something that was causing such an offset in her structure for her
I don't
deadlifts?
think by any stretch it would give you an advantage to do that. Right?
I don't see it. I don't know. I couldn't figure it out. Me and Hannah were talking about it. I was like, I don't know. But it was every set. Papa.
Yeah.
Papa. Papa.
But still destroyed it.
I know.
Right.
Crushed it.
Yeah.
But you had people that were like, one of the guys I follow put it on Instagram and he was like, this should not be allowed. Like the sport needs to do something about this. Like this is borderline cheating.
Well, you're going to have people on every end of the spectrum.
But I was thinking, how? Like how would that benefit you?
Yeah. Why is that cheating?
If anything, I'm thinking like,
I bet they had to go to the rule book. Like
maybe.
Who knows if.
Yeah, but I saw that and I was like, that's weird. I don't know how you would handle that.
Yeah.
From a standards perspective, because in the sport, no matter how, and I mean, OPEX used to get a lot of shit for this, is they would find ways to
like loopholes?
Do the workout better. Yeah, loopholes.
Sure.
And I mean, you can't blame them, right? Like,
I guess.
if you want to win, you got to do what you got to do to win. Obviously not cheating, but
yeah,
if you can find a loophole in the rules. So like, for example, for burpees, like bar over burpees or whatever, they would use metal plates to make the jump smaller for the athletes. I don't think there was literature against that at the time.
Not bumpers.
You know? And I mean, granted, you did see moments in the sport where CrossFit had to like make a game time change.
Sure.
Which I mean happens, right?
Yeah.
You know, like for example, the first year they introduced a max. You had weightlifters who would do one rep of the workout. I think it was 2015 where they did the clean and jerk max at the end.
Oh yeah, after.
Yeah.
Whatever it was.
And they would have affiliates would have the weightlifter do one rep of the workout to qualify, and then just clean and jerk 400 pounds.
Yeah.
And then their affiliate score would like jump up.
Sure.
You know? But CrossFit came back and they fixed the scoring system, but they had to do that in the middle of the Open.
And that's when they implemented like minimal work effort, right? Where you had to get to a certain point.
Exactly. Like minimum work requirements, right? So like things like that, you know, it's funny because you don't see as much of that anymore because CrossFit's matured as a sport, right?
Ever evolving, right?
Right. But it's funny to see, like, I remember that specifically. OPEX was like, what? It's not in your rules.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
And CrossFit was like, now you have to use bumper plates.
Exactly. Now
but
it is.
I think they specify it now that you do have to use, like, a weightlifting standard plate to, like, a certain standard.
Yeah, I think there's so many varieties of that, too, though.
I know.
That's an odd
But at the end of the day,
open standard.
What it boils down to, I think, as a community, everyone, now that CrossFit's so established, I think everyone knows what's expected.
Sure.
You know? That's why it was so weird to see the deadlift of the pop.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't see that being cheating. If anything, I feel like that would hurt your performance.
Right. And if Shane's not saying anything, I mean, I think it's fine.
Yeah, that guy's job is to literally make sure she's moving to standard.
Yeah.
But everyone was like all hype about it. And I was like, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
No.
But so what guy athlete are you excited?
You know, I've been a Noah fan for a long time.
Really?
And I think the Open was really in his favor this year.
He crushed it.
Because it was just go, go, go.
Dude,
right?
He crushed it.
Just him.
He is extremely impressive.
He is.
Funny story. Train Think Tank was having an open camp one time. and we were all there. This is when I was still with him, and we did. I think it was 11.1.
Wow.
It was like it was an AMRAP of snatches and double unders. It was like 30 double unders and 15 snatches or something like that for like, I think it was like 12 minutes maybe. And I beat Noah. Only workout I think I've ever physically beat Noah in my entire life.
11 years ago.
And I had friends a long time ago. I had friends who they like to like troll the internet and shit like that. And they commented on Training Think Tank's post, and they were like, "Hey, I'm beating Noah, like, oh, we blah, blah, blah." And I was like, stop.
Yeah.
Like, this guy is literally one of the best in the sport. Please stop. And, of course, the next day, the first workout, Noah sets up right next to me and proceeds to whoop my ass in the workout. And I was just laughing. Noah is one of the nicest people you will meet in CrossFit.
He seems that way.
He is such a nice guy. And it was just funny to see that because he is a competitor.
Yeah.
Like he was like, all right, I'm gonna make it very clear that I'm fitter than this guy.
Exactly.
You know? And I've worked out with him a couple times when I was with Think Tank, and he's awesome. Noah's a great guy. And I hope he does well this year. I wish him the best.
Me too.
But yeah, he's
fun to watch.
He's the same guy on Instagram as he is in person. Another funny story, or actually cool story. My previous coach, Kyle Ruth, was telling me that they were swimming at a neighborhood pool one day, and they were doing a swimming workout, and there were some kids there that were talking shit to Noah, saying he was on steroids or something like that. And there were a couple other guys there that were huge. You know, a lot of those guys are they're studs. And the females too. I mean, all of them are killer athletes.
Yeah.
And the kids made some joke about like steroids.
Yeah.
Right. And Noah like politely was like, "Hey guys, like these guys actually work really hard to be the athlete and have the physique that they have.
Sure.
And they're not taking steroids. Like this is hard work. This isn't, you know." And he said it was a really cool interaction because the kids were like, okay, like they understood, like they apologized.
Sure.
And so to have that like genuineness about you is pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know. But he's a great guy.
Yeah, it projects on people too.
Right.
Like he's not trying to be anything but himself.
No. He is a little much on his me and Noah are like acquaintances, but sometimes on Instagram, like, no, come on, bro, come on, dude, like you are being an Instagram influencer right now.
That's okay.
It's his livelihood.
Build the brand, right?
Yeah, right. But yeah, Noah, if for some reason you ever see this, I wish you the best of luck this year, man. I hope you crush it. You did really well in the Open.
Mm-hmm.
Another guy who did really well is Jake Berman.
Yeah.
We talked about him on the show before. He's a good friend of mine. He and I have been doing CrossFit. We used to do CrossFit together. He joined up with Think Tank right after I left, and actually Kyle's his coach now.
Nice.
And Berman is a stud of an athlete, and his workouts this year were impressive. His scores were really close to Noah's.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That is impressive.
I know. So I hope Jake does it this year, man. He deserves it.
Very cool.
Yeah, I hope he does really well. I think I'm really, really, really curious to see what the games are going to be like this year.
You know, on the athlete side of things, it's getting a little sad to me because all the OGs that I followed are kind of getting pushed out by youth.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, and that's just
they're all masters
the
now.
circle of life.
It's true. It's true. There was Rich did 22.2 at Rogue with Austin Malleola, Dan Bailey,
all the dudes.
Josh Everett.
Yeah.
The split snatcher, Josh Everett.
Snatcher.
Yeah, it's crazy. Those guys honestly, man, Rich, you got to hand it to him. Like Rich definitely did a really good job of keeping his brand true throughout the sport, and it aged well.
Yeah, agreed.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And he's still crushing it.
Yeah.
And he still beats up on everybody.
He does.
It's ridiculous, dude. It's absolutely ridiculous.
I think capacity-wise, he's one of the most impressive ever.
You got to hand it to him. And I mean, he's like, me and Hannah were talking about this the other day too, how like Frazier, Froning will always be considered the best because he was the first. Mm-hmm. He's like Jordan.
That's it.
It's like Jordan LeBron, dude. Like, Matt will always go down in history and technically is like the fittest man ever, right? But it will always be Rich and Matt.
Yeah.
It will never just be Matt because Rich did it first.
Sure.
And then look at him now. He's still winning.
Yeah.
And then every time he gets asked, like, And I mean, I think Rich is great. I definitely there's some things I think that his personality wise, whatever. But when people ask like, are you going to go? Are you going to do it again? He's like, I'm working out. I'm training. Why not?
Yeah.
Until I feel like my training truly makes that switch.
Oh, you mean competing?
Yeah, competing. Yeah. Sorry.
Got it.
Yeah, he's like, I'm still training, so why not compete if I'm still doing the same thing?
Yeah. He said like his mentality is if he still has success in it, right, or is still capable
at
the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
Why not?
Of course.
Yeah.
So like, it's just interesting to see that, especially, and hats off to him for building a brand that has not wavered at all and has like succeeded throughout.
Well, it's so ingrained in his life now. I saw an interview with Arnold the other day, and some dude asked him like, how long are you going to keep working out? He was like, that's not even a question.
Yeah.
He was like, it's such a part of every day now.
Yeah.
He was like, it's what I do.
Yeah.
He was like, until I can't.
Yeah.
Is the answer.
Until I tell my athletes this all the time too. Like, my goal is, yes, to help you meet your goals, for you to be successful, for you to, be the best athlete you can possibly be.
Mm-hmm.
But my main priority is I want you to be able to do this forever.
Yeah.
Like, I want you to be able to work out and train and be healthy forever. I don't want you to, I don't want this to be a short timeline for you.
Right.
Don't
want him to digress. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, even Rich has had his injuries along the way, but he's still trucking, dude. And he's been doing this. I mean, he's one of the OGs.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
It is wild.
You and I were talking about, just his heart rate during some of the open work.
Oh, yeah, they do the whoop thing now. It's like 130.
Come on.
Everyone else is at like 700.
Exactly.
He's at like, he's
Heart's
right
gonna
here. He's there in
explode.
like zone 20.
Yeah.
And he's in like zone 2 just cruising.
Thinking about lunch.
But his body's probably so adapted to workouts like that
That's
it's just another day for him.
Another workout.
Yeah, and like it still sucks, but like his into workout to recovered is like such a small window now.
Especially
because he's
this
so
year,
adapted.
to that point.
Yeah.
How we were talking about the workouts, he was probably like, okay.
Yeah, it's another day in the office.
Yep. I'll do that one too.
Because I mean, I feel like a lot of people weren't bought in to the Open this year. They were just kind of like, it was tough.
Yeah. Yeah. To the preparedness of it, I think.
Yeah.
Or the delivery, maybe. I
Right.
don't know.
And people don't give Rich credit too. Like, he is very, very intelligent. Like, there was one point in CrossFit where he was on Barbell Shrugged, and Rich had his template written out for the week on the whiteboard. And
Programming template.
Okay. And it was either something was involved. How like CrossFit was like, can you please not show that whiteboard, because they wanted people to be bought into the fact that like Rich just does like CrossFit's programming.
Oh, sure.
Which is not true.
Right.
Like, Rich designs, like, he knows what he's doing. Obviously, he's got he's got like a huge following of athletes now that are like qualifying athletes.
Right.
Like semifinals.
Yeah, the Mayhem
level.
athlete pool is
Huge.
substantial.
Steep.
Yeah.
Steep. And also, shout out Chase Hill. My first games athletes ever.
Nice.
Chase, love you. Great job. Making it to the games and winning the games.
Wow.
Which is not a very easy thing to do. You know what I mean?
Sure.
That is definitely something that is
Understatement of the year.
very, 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 very challenging. So for him to be able to do that, he's now part of like a group this big.
The 1% of the 1%, right?
Exactly. Right. So yeah, that's impressive. That is impressive. And I mean, I actually got to get kind of an insight to that programming for Chase, because I got to see a lot of what he was doing.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of stuff.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it like leaps and bounds above what we're doing, or is just
I think Rich
more
is like
focused?
Rich is so like he's very good at replicating workouts that you would see in a competition.
Okay.
So he gets you so good at those.
Like replicating the stimulus, probably.
Yeah.
Right.
So like, and I mean, someone else has said this too. I think Sarah Sigmund's daughter said this one time. That like he's really good at making workouts that you would see in a game setting or in a regional setting or whatever. And he has like a knack for that. So that, I mean, if you think about it, from like a granular level, it makes sense. Like, you get good at the workouts you're going to compete in.
Sure.
Or do in your competitions.
And not only probably that makes you more physically prepared for them, right? But it probably takes the stress down.
Yeah.
If you see something you're super familiar with, you're like, oh.
Exactly.
Right?
100%. And then you're more familiar with it, you're more acclimated to it, so you have more comfortability and confidence when you do workouts like that. You're like, 50 bar muscle ups, well, we've done that before.
Yeah.
As opposed, and I will say one thing that we try and balance with our athletes are working on their imbalances and getting them better at the stuff they're not great at, right? And then also giving them exposure to workouts like that.
Yeah.
That's the tough part, is like that balance of both.
Sure.
Because not all athletes are like Rich, where they can do every movement you throw at them.
Right.
At a high volume, at a high density, at a heavy weight.
No, I bet it's a tough balance. And you got to try to probably nurture their strengths too.
Yeah.
At the same time,
Exactly.
while working on weakness.
That's tough, man.
Yeah.
Programming is a constant balancing act of your conditioning, your strength, and your skill set.
I don't envy you. No.
It's fun.
I'll
It is
do
fun.
your
It's like a
stuff.
big puzzle. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like a big puzzle. But it's cool to see athletes like you hit these milestones and like succeed and, you know, meet these goals that you've worked so hard to accomplish.
It's cool for me to still see progression in myself, even after
10
plus years, right?
10 years.
And I'm still getting better. It's awesome.
That is awesome. Do you feel like that change in your nutrition has helped you a lot?
For sure. And,
Yeah.
and the programming, honestly, and I've been through a lot of different programs. And this one, like I said in the beginning, it just feels just more comprehensive. And even though it's cyclical, right? Did I say that right? I don't know.
Cyclical, yes.
Cyclical.
It's periodized training.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
To an extent.
Yeah, to an extent. But it just doesn't leave any holes, which I think.
That's good to know. That's the stress. It's like, what are we missing?
That's the
constantly.
main thing
You know?
I've noticed in it.
Well, when we plan these things out, it's like I feel like Rain Man sometimes. You just see like numbers all
Yeah,
around your
it's the
head,
matrix.
and you're just putting all this stuff together.
Yeah.
But yeah. So it's definitely something that I enjoy for sure.
It
But,
shows, I think, right? I think, and I'm not saying any gym in particular, but lazy programming is probably a byproduct of people that don't really love it at the end of
And
the
that's
day.
the thing,
They're just trying to
too.
get something on paper.
Well, and like burnout from
Yeah,
owners too.
sure.
Who they're just kind of like, ugh, just put something on there.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. Which I
And it is
can
tough.
empathize with. 'Cause
when you're an owner,
I get burnt out as an athlete. right?
holy shit, dude. I mean, that was tough when I owned my gym, was balancing everything.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very hard.
I bet.
And I mean, I think that's one thing that a lot of members don't understand with owners sometimes is owners, when you have an owner who's super involved and they do everything,
Yeah.
it's tough.
Yeah.
It's very tough. And I mean, even with Haley, with Trojan, like I took that off her plate and she was thankful for that because she can now focus on growing the community in the gym and things like that.
Yeah, and the fact that you're an outlet for her, if she has any questions, that's probably pretty unique to functional versatility. Honestly, I don't know many other programs that
Well, we're not
offers such a
we're not
transparency.
We're still small enough where I can, and
Give
I
that
honestly
attention.
like the size we are because we can have that open line of communication with them. Because Caitlin and I talked about this when we talk about like growth of the company, is we probably would limit how many affiliates we had, so we can still give them that attention and, and be a resource. Because I want to provide products that people can just like use conveniently, but I also want people to be bought into it. And you can't be bought into something 100% unless you were like fully involved with the person who's making it.
Yeah.
You know?
It could be a hybrid too. Or it could be like, levels of programming, right?
Yeah,
Like
right. And that's what we're providing. Yeah. So like with our affiliates, we have our standard affiliate programming, we have custom affiliate programming.
Mm-hmm.
But you can use us as a resource regardless of which one you use.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But obviously the custom one being more expensive. But
Sure.
but you get what you pay for out of that. But yeah, we'll talk more about that actually in the episode we talk about programming, how to structure it, how to pricing models, things like that. Just to, help people who are possibly in the same area trying to build their programming service and things like that.
Yeah.
Which is becoming more common now.
I like that you're just kind of sharing your experience and knowledge.
Hey man,
Why
we're all
not,
in it
right?
together.
Yeah.
If you're out there trying to program, it's tough, dude. It's tough, but it's I got to where I am now because I asked for help,
Yeah.
and bringing in people like Caitlin who are
Mhm.
phenomenal.
She is.
And learning from people who are much more intelligent than I am,
Sure.
which
sure.
most are.
Yeah.
most of them
there's
are.
a lot of them for
Yeah.
me too.
So overall, to wrap this up, were you happy with your open performance this year?
I was.
I was very proud of you.
And I
I'm
think,
very proud of you.
like, looking back, I probably could have done better on a few of them. But like I said, I'm a one-and-done athlete. But I think that speaks to my level of fitness, too.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, I probably could have found some reps or time here and there.
Yeah.
So
Well, I thought you did a great job.
thanks, man. I
Very
appreciate it.
proud of you. Thank you
Thank you
for coming on the show.
for having me.
And this is you guys got to see some insight to one of our FV athletes. keep an eye on our Instagram. We'll be making some announcements on Resolve when that gets announced. We'll be announcing some changes to our website. And functional versatility is on our functional versatility nutrition is on the horizon as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if you ever have questions about things about programming, the sport, whatever, what we do, shoot us in a message on Instagram, and we'll be more than happy to reply and get to know you guys more. And check this episode out on YouTube if you're listening to it. That's on there as well. And yeah, hope everyone had a wonderful, wonderful 2022 open experience. And I know we said a lot of nitpicky things on here, but
yeah,
the open is an amazing thing, and I'm glad we're still able to do it.
Agreed.
Because it is truly great bringing people together and
It
being
is.
able to suck through shit together because so rough, regardless. But yeah, so Adam, thank you. It was a pleasure to have you.
Thanks, man.
And we will see you guys on episode 4. Bye, guys.
See ya.